Let us bring Leonard into the conversation. Leonard, the red carpet has been rolled out. Let's talk about sperm. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here, guys. How you doing? Hey,
Well,
Forrest, this is Leonard Nimoy, aka Mike Richardson. I've been in your comments for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I was
And
about
you
to say,
said
it
they were
sounds like
not.
Mike. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like one of Mike's
Listen,
arguments. Yeah.
I'm glad you're on at 3 today instead of 7. Makes it easier for me. Anyway, let's get
what
right
do you
to
want
it.
to talk about? What is the content of your call?
All right. So, for one, I
didn't hear what he said.
I don't want to be rude. I don't want to come across rude or disrespectful because I know, Forrest and a lot of other people believe wholeheartedly in evolution. I just directly contradict it with observable fact. And basically, I eliminate it as an explanation for our existence, leaving only God.
Which God?
The one born 2,025 years ago named Jesus Christ, the one we're keeping time from, right?
Gotcha.
Our entire history is centered around his birth.
Well, evolution is going to be really going to be Forrest's wheelhouse, so I'm going to stand on the shoulders of a giant here. But we would like, I think, to hear your position on this. Can you debunk evolution in favor of the risen Christ for us?
I could not only debunk evolution, I could show that it never was real and it never will be real.
Yes,
we are a quiver. We cannot wait.
I'm going to let you talk, Mike, but then I'll have some words at the end. So go ahead and tell us what you think.
Okay. A human sperm and a human egg coming together forms a set of human eyes. They didn't evolve. We know exactly how they're formed. It takes 9 months to form a set of human eyes. This invalidates any and every theory about human eyes evolve, and it relegates the theory will never match reality. So the loose theory is that light-sensitive cells 500 million years ago, whatever, formed into a set of eyes. That process and any other process put forward will never match the known process we have in the world today. And by extension, we know how our heart is formed. Any theory about how our heart evolved is invalidated. We know how our collarbone is formed, our fingers, our esophagus, our pancreas. From head to toe, we have an exact process that shows us exactly how a person is formed. Anything evolution says can never match the known process.
Well, Leonard, if I may, wait. No, hang on. What's the process? What's the process that links back to the Christian God in regard to the eyes that I have in my head? What is the process that's correct from your perspective?
The process would be, so I don't know that process. I know, but you guys, there's a theory called evolution that is taught as the process. No.
You said there's a process that is proven. So if it's proven, then you would know what it is.
No. No Christian claims to know how God created us. You guys claim there's a process called evolution that does, which I just disproved.
How did you disprove?
Not one part of our body. Okay, not one part of our body evolved from a single cell organism. So I'll back it up even further. A sperm and egg coming together shows us exactly how a person is formed. A sperm and egg comes from an already existing man and woman. If evolution were to be real, there has to be a second process that forms a person without a sperm and an egg to explain where the already existing man and woman came from. In effect, 2 separate processes that form a person, our eyes, our heart, our ears, etc.
He's all yours.
The process called evolution.
Yeah.
The process called evolution can never match the real process we have, the known real world process.
Right. So this is why I wanted to I'm glad we just let Mike speak at the beginning here and just say everything that he had to say, because this is what Mike has been saying in my comment sections for years now. And he has been corrected and explained just literally basic, and I'm not saying that to be condescending, actually genuinely basic biology, had it explained to him countless innumerable times by several science communicators and several just random commenters. And he just says the same things over and over and over and over and over. And now, after like the 15th time I've tried to goad him into calling into a show like this, I guess he finally got around to doing it. So we can say the same dumb shit here on this show. The two claims that Mike makes over and over are that evolution can't be true because a male would have had to have evolved, and then a female would have had to have evolved separately within that male's lifetime. And we've explained how population dynamics work, how populations grow, all these things. And he will sometimes even repeat that back and then continue saying the same thing. And now this is the new thing that he's jumped onto, which is that development means that evolution didn't happen because organisms develop after being, sperm and egg fuse, that now you don't need evolution anymore, ignoring what has been explained to him a million times, which is that different organisms have different developmental pathways. Development also evolves. The process by which those organs develop, that's an evolutionary thing. The fact that as we evolve, that development changes and that everything along that line would have had that sperm and egg. And now it looks like he's added on a third thing here, which is that evolution would require something without sperm and eggs to exist before these things happen, which just goes to show that he's literally never had a single serious conversation with anyone who disagrees with him in which he actually took good notes. But otherwise, he would know why that makes no fucking sense, and that there are indeed plenty of organisms that don't use sperm and eggs, some of which are our ancestors. So, Mike, here's the thing that I want to ask is, you've been saying this nonsense on repeat on my channel and many other channels for months and months and months. You've had plenty of people that have corrected you and explained to you how basic science works. You have had plenty of people beg you to just at least acknowledge the ridiculous shit that you're saying and why it doesn't even line up with what evolution actually is. Whether or not you believe in evolution, you're not even trying to argue against evolution. You're arguing against a straw man fairy tale of evolution that you've made up in your head in order to make it easier for you. In all of that time, has any of that resonated with you at all? Or do you actually genuinely think that you're making a good point here?
Forrest, for one, it's not possible for me to be corrected. I'm not making an argument. I'm stating fact.
There you go. There you go.
I'm stating fact. A sperm and egg coming together really does form a set of human eyes. You are making the argument. You're making the argument that there's a second process called evolution. The process you argue for can never duplicate or match the real process we have in the world today. It never has, and it never will.
Here's a question for you, Mike.
No, Forrest.
How long, in my opinion, in my story, from my position of teaching about evolution, how long would it take to get from no eyes to eyes?
Shit, are you there?
Yes.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right.
We're asking you a question.
How long would it take? Forrest,
yep. From my position.
You want to rethink? From your position, right? From what evolution would teach. You're asking how long. So you're looking for a measure of time, correct?
Yep. How long would it take?
How long would be a measure of time?
So, Forrest,
typically,
you're asking for a measure. Forrest, you're asking for a measure of time. You're not showing a second process that forms our eyes. This is how you were fooled in the first place.
Right.
Evolution.
Mike, I'm asking you a direct question. If you can't answer a straightforward question, then I see no reason to continue with the conversation because I don't think you're fucking serious. I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't think you're serious. I think you're bullshitting. And I think you just found this line that makes atheists and liberals and evolutionists and all the whatever else. It gets people upset and it gets you attention in comment sections. There's no way that somebody could say something as brainless as what you have been saying. I'm going to put you on mute for a second, Mike. There's no way that somebody could say something as brainless as what you've been saying for as many months as you have been saying it and be corrected by as many people as you have been corrected by, and then still have the arrogance to say, I cannot be corrected unless you are just either completely, genuinely oblivious to how thinking works, or you're just an attention-seeking troll. I tend to think you're an attention-seeking troll.
Are you asking him then to articulate what he thinks your position is?
Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, because I'm trying to walk. If Mike is even remotely serious about what he's saying and
Yeah.
actually isn't just completely trolling, then I would like to walk him down the pathway to just show how ridiculous what he's saying is. And in order to do that, we need to at least agree on what the alternative position that he's arguing against even is. And so here's how it is, Mike. I'm going to ask you the same question again. If you can't answer a straightforward question, then I'm not going to continue wasting time with you. We have serious callers that actually believe in the shit that they're saying, and I'm not convinced you're one of them. So, Mike, we'll bring it back on. Same question again. In my position as an evolutionary biologist, how long does it take to get from not having eyes to having eyes in evolutionary time?
I'll give you 5 billion years. That's 500 million more than you guys claim how old the Earth is. I'll give you 5 billion. I'll give you 14 trillion years for it. You have all the time you need.
Okay, so that's not true, but let's just stick with it for a second. So let's say it's going to take billions and billions of years. How many generations exist within those billions and billions of years?
Billions and billions.
Sure. So now when a sperm and an egg fuse and develop eyes, how many generations is that?
1.
Right. So do you understand the fundamental difference? Do you understand the fundamental difference between evolution, which is a gradual change in organisms taking place over multiple generations for multiple years, and development, which is one single generation developing exactly one time?
I understand what you're trying to say.
Do you understand the difference between those two concepts?
Yeah, well, I understand one is real and one you're using time.
Do you understand the difference between those two concepts?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. So now that we understand the difference between those two concepts, do you understand that development, the process by which eyes and limbs and all these other things you're talking about come about after sperm and egg fuse, those developmental processes, those developmental pathways are also subject to change?
No, they're change, genetic variation. That's it. So you said
it's not just genetic variation. It's not just genetic variation, but that's not the point. The point is some sort of change, right? So generation 1 has a set developmental pathway X. Generation 2, through some sort of change, genetic or whatever, has now developmental pathway Y, right?
Sure.
Okay, great. So now, over millions and millions of years and millions of generations, do you expect that the developmental pathway to create eyes has been exactly the same in my worldview?
In your worldview, no. In reality, yes. Exactly the same.
So, do you understand now how you are not actually arguing against anything that I am actually saying? You are making fallacious statements that show that you have no understanding of the difference between evolution and development, or evolutionary development, which is a totally different thing. And you're just saying nonsense without actually grappling with what evolution actually is. Does that get through to you a little bit now?
No, of course, I completely understand what you guys believe. I just show in the real world that our human eye is formed by a sperm and an egg, and it has nothing to do with anything you just said.
Right. Where does sperm and eggs come from?
Forrest, all you did just now was hide behind time. You offered no science. You offered no duplicate process that forms a set of human eyes.
I didn't hide behind anything. I just clarified what my position was.
Okay. Would you like to try to evolve a set of human eyes? Even if you could, what you're saying isn't real. It doesn't exist in the real world.
Leonard, is it possible for me to evolve into a different thing with different organs? In my opinion, in my worldview.
Well, I don't know. Now you're asking something different because you guys, according to what you guys believe,
I'm giving a follow-up. I'm giving a follow-up based on the thing that you just said. You asked me if I would like to try to evolve a pair of human eyes. So I'm asking you, in my worldview, from an evolutionary standpoint, is it possible for me to evolve a new organ?
No.
So why would you ask such a silly question then?
Well, I'm demonstrating that you nor anyone else on the planet can evolve a set of human eyes and duplicate the known process we already have.
And also, you're saying that's not possible. I also don't think that's possible. So why would you say such a silly thing rather than just to try to make a straw man of evolution so you can continue to feel like you're right?
I am right. It's not debatable that I'm right, Forrest. Human eyes,
It's
we know
easily
how they're
debatable
formed.
because you've yet to say anything that makes any fucking sense, Mike.
Everything I said is observable fact, Forrest. Nothing.
Let me ask you a different question. Let me ask you a different question.
Shows,
do individuals evolve or do populations evolve?
That's the second most common cop out. I would say neither. I could care less. It doesn't matter.
In my opinion, from an evolutionary standpoint, do individuals or populations evolve from an evolutionary standpoint in evolutionary biology?
Evolutionary standpoint, you guys. Am I still here?
Waiting on your answer, Mike.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Continue.
I heard another beat. I don't know what that's about. From your point of view, I know you guys believe populations evolve. So when I contrast a real process with an evolutionary process, that's the most common, hiding behind time and saying populations evolve. That's how you guys get around actually addressing the issue.
So, Mike, when you say that when we say that populations evolve, you understand that within a population, there is genetic diversity, right?
Yes. So
now let me ask you three quick things. You understand and you agree, surely.
Well, hang on a second first. There's genetic diversity. Humans will always be humans. You could have Andre the Giant, Triceratops, Morgan Freeman, three completely different looking humans, but they're all still human. None of them will ever evolve antlers, fins, wings, any other things evolution.
Very fun kinds argument. It's a complete waste of time. The question I was going to ask you is, you understand and you agree surely that DNA is heritable, right?
Yes.
And you agree entirely, I'm sure, that DNA is broken up in individual genes and that those genes come in different flavors that we call alleles, right?
Sure.
And you understand and agree, surely, that different alleles are better suited for life in different environments, right?
Sure.
Right. So if I have a population with a full, great deal of genetic variety, and I were to put that population into several different environments, do an experiment, right? I have this one individual population, and I try them out in different environments over several generations. Logically, certain alleles would become more dominant within that population, and certain alleles would die off within that population, right?
Makes sense. Yep.
Right. That is literally the basic founding, just the most simple principle of what evolution is and how it works. Now you extend that to the fact that the only difference between any two organisms, no matter what you like, there are more differences, but the only major difference that we can point to right now that we can say for this conversation that's easy is the DNA. So if you change the environment more and more and more and more and more and more and more, then slowly but surely the DNA, the metagenome, the total DNA of that population will change so profoundly that you will no longer have any trace of the original population left. That is where you get into things like macroevolution. Let me give you another example there, Mike. Was there ever a time when a Latin-speaking parent had a child that spoke Italian?
Well, hang on. I just want to answer your last point, and I just want to point out that you're assuming populations as your start point without explaining or evolving them from a single-celled organism. So everything you just said, you assumed. You assumed. Let's just use humans. You assumed the human. If you use.
No, I didn't. Right. I never said humans in any part of that.
Click mute on that guy. I find this useful, if nothing else, to give you the platform to be able to educate people exactly on how things evolve in this way. I think there is utility in your call, Leonard. The utility just isn't you. But I am curious about this. So is it true, Forrest, that we can see examples of the various gradations of evolved eyes in nature? I don't know how it's pronounced. Is it euglena? The more complex eye of the krill, the human eye, the eye of long distance seeing animals like the hawk and the eagle, et cetera. We can see throughout nature examples of the evolution of and adaptation of eyes. Is that unfair? Fair? What?
No, that's absolutely true. In fact, that's one of the reasons, well, one of the things that Darwin wrote about back in On the Origin of Species. And this is actually what I was going to circle back around to. So like, I figure like we can skip to the end here if we'd like. But yeah, the thing that Mike is hung up on here, he keeps talking about eyes because this is the common classic irreducible complexity bullshit. Researchers at Lund University a little while ago actually published a paper on this where they did some genomics and they did some genetics and they did some math, and they figured out specifically starting with flat light sensitive patch of just photosensitive cells all the way up to a complex image forming eye, going through all these pieces that we see. We have flat little photosensitive cells like euglena. We have a little cup shaped eye like we see on planarians. We go all the way to a pinhole camera eye like we see on nautiloids, an eye with a simple lens, and then all the way up to a complex lens like we have today on humans and cephalopods alike. All these gradations, they were able to break these things down into 1,800 distinct tiny improvements. One tiny piece, protein by protein, piece by piece, building up to this eye over 1,800 steps, and actually planning out how long those mutations would take. They found that it could have taken place reasonably within 360,000 generations. Given 550 million years since the formation of the oldest fossil eyes, the earliest eyes we have in the fossil record about 550 million years ago, given that time frame and given the amount of generations that they were able to factor in here, eyes like ours could have evolved over 1,500 times over and over from scratch. So what Mike is talking about here, about how like we have this set process for eyes, it's development. What he continues to fail to recognize is that the developmental pathway there is controlled largely by your DNA, and that DNA changes from generation to generation. It is also subject to evolution. So yes, of course, sperm and egg come together, usually, sometimes, forms an eyeball. But where the hell did those sperm and eggs come from? Well, they came from humans. And where the hell did those humans come from? Well, they came from ancient humans. And where did those ancient humans come from? Well, they came from other species of humans. And where did those other species of humans come from? They came from other species of primates. Where did those other species of primates come from? They came from other species of mammals. Where did those other mammals come from? They came from other species of amniotes back in the day. And where did those come from? Well, they came from different species of fucking fish. And so, like, you can go back and back and back, and the story, as you find out, is motherfucking evolution. Because if you just take a brief, tiny, like 6th grade look at it and say, well, sperm and egg makes eyes, you're missing on the fact that you're fucking wrong. But that brings me to what I was going to ask Mike. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say everything that you have just said is wrong. And the reason is that Mike cannot be corrected. And right. That's just how it is.
But I do have. I think is the most important. Sorry, is that Mike is not only saying that evolution is wrong. And not only is he misunderstanding evolution to say that, Mike is actually saying evolution is wrong, but there's also this guy who lives in space, and his name is Yahweh. And he did all these crazy fucking things, and he doesn't want you to masturbate. And like that's the actual story. That's what I always get about creationists. It's never just, hey, I don't believe this process because I don't understand it. It's, I don't believe this process because I don't understand it. And also, there's a magic spaceman, and that's why you can't eat shellfish unless you can sometimes.
So are you saying you want me to unmute his call? Because if I don't have to,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Would you like? I mean, do you want to continue and ask him the next question?
I want to ask Mike one more question, and I don't think he'll be able to.
Right, hang on, this is going to be a force of will. Just hang on. I need to enhance my comm. I need to center my chakras, align my vibrational energies in the positive. And
don't do that.
You are unmuted, Mike. Go ahead.
Am I going to have a chance to respond?
No. I'd like Forrest to ask you the next question.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to move on to the next thing. Is what you said is dumb as hell, and I don't have time for it. So the question that I asked for you was, is there ever a time in history when a Latin-speaking parent had a child who spoke Italian?
I would say no.
Right. Why?
I have no idea.
Why?
Because
you have no idea. So the reason why is because Italian comes from Latin, And yet there was never a time when a Latin-speaking parent had an Italian-speaking child, because it takes lots and lots and lots of generations with little itty-bitty changes between each single generation to finally get to Italian. So there was never a time when somebody just started speaking Italian. And if you ask today, where does Italian come from? Where are people learning Italian? And you say, we know where Italian comes from. An Italian-speaking parent teaches their child Italian. You go to school, you learn how to speak Italian. That's where Italian comes from. It wouldn't make any fucking sense, because at the end of the day, in the long term, Italian comes from Latin. It, here's the word, evolved, because language also evolves over generations. Italian evolved from Latin. You know what also evolved from Latin? Spanish. Spanish is another Latin language. And there was never a time when an Italian parent had a Spanish-speaking child, or a Latin parent had a Spanish-speaking, or any of that stuff, because they're cousins. They're cousin languages. They both broke away from Latin. And over the course of multiple generations, they changed little by little. And eventually, you got to Latin and Spanish away, from Italian and Spanish away from Latin. So there you have it, Mike. That's the easiest way that I can possibly fucking give it to you. Saying that we know where eyes come from, they come from a sperm and egg, is dumb as shit, because it's like saying we know where Italian comes from, people just speak Italian sometimes, and not acknowledging the fact that language changes over time. And over the course of multiple generations, we get new languages and we get new organs. That's how evolution works. And now I'm good to move on, because we got a tight show today. What do you think?
You know, hitting drop on that call, that was good for me. That was good for me.
Yeah.
Bye, Mike. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful life.
Credit where it's due. I've been
never corrected.
Right? Credit where it's due. I've been trying to get Mike to actually like grow a spine and call into a show like this for a long time. It sucks to see that he brought the same A game that he always brings, which is, I don't know how science works, and that means I can't be wrong.
I just love this. And he, of course, he connects no dot back to the specific God with a proper name. He's like, okay, well, evolution is wrong. Instead, we originated from a couple of magically conjured garden nudists who chatted up talking snakes. And on this subject, I cannot be corrected. I'm not exactly sure what you want.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Snow, Pokemon Master and Executive Producer on The Line. Would you like to support a specific show on The Line, or The Line in general? There are special tiers on our Patreon and in our channel memberships. You can do just that. By the way, you could consider leaving a super thanks down below. You could also like, subscribe, and leave a regular comment. All of these are great. Now, I'm going to get back to crushing loneliness, but while I do that, why don't you check out one of these?